Hello friends, welcome. Today we will be talking about the burning issue of sausages going between Ireland and Britain. So let's start. In November 2020, Boris Johnson declared that nothing could stop the Great British sausages from making it to Belfast. This was in response to report that the report on Northern Ireland, the agreement governing the trading relationship between Northern Ireland and the EU, would effectively ban sausages from being imported to Northern Ireland from the rest of the UK. Now, talks on how to solve this dispute are making little progress ahead of a key deadline, stoking fears of a sausage war. To understand why trade in sausages could be affected, one must first understand the rationale of the protocol. When the UK decided to leave the EU customs union and internal market, it also accepted to return to border checks on goods traded between the UK and the EU. These checks are required, for example, to collect custom duties and to ensure that goods comply with domestic rules. But what is exactly the sausage issue? Let's understand it first. The EU food safety regulations allow only frozen meats to enter the single market, prohibiting the imports of chilled meat products such as sausages and mincemeat. Such a ban does not apply to common regulatory standards, which are continuously monitored and enforced by EU institutions, as well as domestic and EU courts. However, this does not apply to third countries. The reason for this is that even if a third country adopts rules that are identical to those of the EU, example, the UK, the EU simply cannot assume that these rules are effectively compiled with and enforce the EU standards. These restrictions therefore apply to trade between Great Britain and Northern Ireland. And since Northern Ireland is subject to EU laws in this area, the same prohibitions should apply to chilled meat products imported from Great Britain. However, in December 2020, the EU and the UK agreed on a grace period starting on January 1st and ending July 1st, 2021, during which chilled meat products from rest of the UK could access the North Ireland market, subject to certain conditions. It's therefore partially true to claim, as Boris Johnson did, that nothing could stop the Great British sausages from making it to Belfast, but only on temporary basis. Now that the grace period is nearing its end, politicians are once again faced with the uncomfortable reality of the choices made in the context of Brexit. Leaving the internal market and recapturing the power to set standards and regulations on goods inevitably means increased barriers on the trade with the EU. What happened next? That's the big question. Politicians on the both sides floated a number of potential solutions. The EU would like the UK to align itself to its food, plant and animal safety rules. The UK, on the other hand, would prefer both sides to agree to recognize the equivalence of each other's standards whilst maintaining their ability to deviate. As things stand, chilled meat products from the rest of the UK would be barred from accessing the Northern Ireland market from July 2021 onwards. The UK has offered to unilaterally extend the grace period, but the extension would be clearly in breach of the legally binding commitments the UK has made under the protocol. The EU could react by taking legal action at the European Court of Justice. Should the UK be found to be acting illegally, the UK could find itself at the end of significant financial sanctions, which could take the form of a lump sum or penalty payments. And if the UK did not then comply within 6 months, the EU would have right to retaliate by suspending other post-Brexit commitments. In effect, this means that the EU could reimpose barriers to trade, such as tariffs and tariff rates quotas on UK imports. Is it a sign of trade war? Let's look at. In a move that some worry could provoke a full-scale trade war, Johnson has threatened to invoke emergency measures in the Northern Ireland Protocol of the Brexit divorce deal if no solution is found to the so-called sausage war. That protocol essentially kept the province in the EU's customs union and adhering to many of the single market rules, creating a regulatory border in the Irish Sea between the British province and the rest of the United Kingdom. But Johnson has already delayed the implementation of some of its provisions, including checks on chilled meats moving from the mainland to Northern Ireland, saying it was causing disruption to some supplies through the province. In other words, the UK could pay a hefty price for its failure to comply with the protocol, but in reality, such price would pale in comparison to the further instability it would cause in the Northern Ireland and the potential damage inflicted on the peace process. Now the growing tensions between the EU and Britain threaten to overshadow the Group of Seven summits conclusions on Sunday, with London's accusing France of offensive remarks that the Northern Ireland was not part of the United Kingdom. Ever since the United Kingdom voted to leave the European Union in 2016, the two sides have been trying to work out how to deal with the post-Brexit trade and the British province, which has land border with EU member Ireland. Ultimately, the talks keeps coming back to the delicate patchwork of the history, nationalism, religion, and geography that intervene in the Northern Ireland. But the latest spat over the Brexit divorce still is centered on the sausages. During the recent talks with the Emmanuel Macron at the G7 summit, British Prime Minister Johnson queried how the French president would react if the lost sausages could not be sold in Paris markets, echoing London's accusations that the EU is preventing sales of British chilled meats in Northern Ireland. The British media caught these remarks sensitively. Soon the British media reported that Macron responded by inaccurately saying Northern Ireland was not a part of United Kingdom. Remarks British Foreign Minister Dominic Raab described it as offensive, but later Macron told the reporters at the G7 conclusion that the two sides should stop wasting time on disputes about sausages and focus on the main major issues. But despite a US-brokered 1998 peace deal that put end to the 3 decades of violence in Northern Ireland, remains deeply split along sectarian lines. Many Catholic nationalists aspire to unification with Ireland, while Protestant Unionists want to stay in the UK. The EU does not want the Northern Ireland to be a backdoor into its single market, and neither side wants border-side checks between the province and the Republic of Ireland, which could become a target for dissident militants. Instead, the two sides agreed to the protocol, which provides for checks between the province and the rest of the United Kingdom. Through Britain now says these are too cumbersome and divisive. Johnson said on Saturday he would do whatever it takes to protect the UK's territorial integrity. So what is needed then is for solutions to be found in a spirit of honesty and good faith. There must be a recognition that these barriers to trade are not, as some have claimed, bonkers, but rather the consequences of the trade relationship that the UK has willingly sought to achieve with the EU in a post-Brexit world. The very existence of grace periods in an acknowledgement that both the UK and the EU understood part.